There are people walking around right now saying that their childhood wasn't that bad. They didn't get hit, they didn't get abandoned, yet their nervous system is absolutely exhausted. Childhood trauma doesn't always look like one big event. Sometimes it looks like growing up too fast, having to stay quiet, becoming easy, or trying to survive by keeping quiet. If you've ever wondered why adulthood feels so heavy at times, this video is probably for you. What childhood trauma really is. When we hear the words trauma, we always associate it with extremes. But childhood trauma isn't only about what happened to you, it's also about what didn't. Not being protected, not getting the comfort from a parent like you should, or not being able to feel, not being allowed to feel. Trauma in a child happens when their emotions become too big for the adult to handle them. And unfortunately, their body will remember that long after their mind tries to let it go. So the first sign of childhood trauma is being hyper independent. Now, we all can be a little bit independent at times, but when you've suffered abuse, you tend to become over independent. One of the most overlooked signs of childhood trauma is being overly independent. Not being able to ask for help, feeling like you can do it on your own, telling yourself that you've got it even when you feel like you're drowning. That is not strength. That is a child realizing early on that they couldn't rely on others and they couldn't ask for help. The second sign of childhood trauma is not being able to relax. You'll probably feel guilty when you're resting, almost as if you're not allowed to. Or when you're resting, you'll never feel 100% rested. You'll still be slightly on edge and not be able to relax. And a lot of the time, silence will make you feel uneasy. That is more often than not a nervous system that never felt safety, so it doesn't know how to handle it. Unfortunately, your body learned to stay alert because at one point in your life, calm meant that something bad was about to happen. The third sign of childhood trauma is people pleasing and avoiding conflicts. You find this quite a lot in people that have been through childhood abuse. Maybe you grew up having to manage other people's emotions, and because of that, you avoid conflict at all costs. You probably also over-explain everything and apologize constantly, even when you don't need to. And the worst one of all is you'd rather betray yourself than to let somebody else down. I just want to point out that that's not kindness, that's called survival. The fourth sign of childhood abuse or childhood trauma would be you either feel too much or you feel nothing at all. I have a saying where I'm all or nothing, and that stems from my childhood trauma. I know that. Some survivors feel everything all at once, and then others are emotionally numb. Both are protective responses that we've learned from a young child. When emotions weren't safe to feel, the volume either gets turned up max or it gets turned off completely. There's no real in between. The fifth sign of childhood trauma is usually you downplay your own trauma. And what I mean by that is you'll probably say things like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Other people have it worse than me. I have said this myself, so I know. And the worst thing that we tell ourselves is we should be over this by now. Healing is a journey and it takes time, and time does not reflect on how much you have healed. I've spoke about this in other videos about triggers and stuff like that. That doesn't mean that you are not healing. Triggers just means that your nervous system remembers what it feels like and is trying to protect you. And minimizing your pain doesn't mean that it wasn't severe enough. It means that you learn quite early on that your feelings didn't matter enough to take up space. Your feelings are always valid. But as a child, you might not have realized that. If you recognize yourself in anything that I've spoken about, you're not alone. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. These are learned survival skills. Your nervous system did exactly that to protect you. It proves that your nervous system was working correctly. And at the time, it's what you needed to survive. Healing isn't about blaming the past. It's about giving yourself what you never received. Safety, validation, and permission to be human. I always say I became the adult I needed when I was a child. If this video resonated with you, please hit the like button. And if you would like to know more about healing childhood trauma, please hit the subscribe button when you'll be notified at any time I release a new video. Thank you very much, guys. It has been a pleasure as always. Take care.